in the same thought of new Star Wars shows that are coming, it's been a big week, hasn't it? We've had the Kenobi
It's definitely
cast,
been
so many
it's definitely
questions.
been a very big week.
And then, like we said at the
It's
start of the
Star Wars
show,
season.
we just got hit with Bad Batch
Oh
trailer,
yeah.
and no one was ready for it. It was 4 a.m. in Australia time, where the same thing happened, Claire, where I got all these dings of, oh my gosh, Bad Batch trailer, and I woke up
And we were
and
trying
oh
to
my
figure out how to
gosh.
deal with it, and I'm just like, I don't know.
No one could deal with it. Like, oh my god, what are we gonna do? This is
Yeah.
insane. And it's, if you haven't watched the trailer, be sure to check it out. It's only like 2 minutes 30 or something, 2 minutes 10. It's not
I think it's 2:20, 2:26.
20. Yeah, cool.
So
So
it's not very long.
it's
I
not
watched it.
long,
I
but
yeah, I
there's
thought
a
it was
bit
very
to
interesting.
it.
Yeah.
There's a bit in it. Oh boy.
Yeah, just a wee bit. Whew.
So I have some major questions, and this is what I love
Yeah.
about a good trailer. It answers a lot and it shows you a lot, but it
Yeah.
also leaves you with like triple the amount of questions you had before the trailer.
Yeah.
So I had so many things to talk about this Bad Batch trailer, but let's just start off. When you first watched the trailer, what was your initial reaction, your feeling, initial emotion? What did you first think about it?
Why am I watching this? I should be like not watching the trailer so I can be not spoiled at all. But then I realized that Star Wars is my job, so I don't get the privilege of not being spoiled.
Sure.
My first initial reactions was, wait a second. So have they been captured by the Empire? Why are they in a Imperial camp? Why is Rex there? What is going on? Is this like my I mean, this is just kind of my assumption is this is a story, like this is only going to be one season as well, right? This is a one time thing, or do we know?
I don't think that is true. I think this might be a
Okay.
multi-season thing. Yeah. But
I
that's
hope
not
so.
confirmed. That's
That's
just my
not
impression.
confirmed. That's
Not
just
confirmed.
okay. Yeah, I don't know. Which I mean, this is a good test. Like I don't know if they're gonna have what Rebels was 4 seasons, so maybe we could have 4 seasons of Bad Batch.
Yeah.
So my initial reaction is like, what is going on? Like, why? Because at the end of the Clone Wars, they're all talking about like going off on their own and doing things, and that was right before Order 66, right?
Yeah.
And the other thing is like, so I some of the things online, I know that they people were saying, well, okay, so if they're like, do they have inhibitor chips?
Yes, and that was my biggest question going into
Yeah,
like
is that why? Is that why?
What
Is that why
happened. Did
Tarkin's
they
there?
do it? Yeah.
Like,
Do they
is
have it, or their chips don't work, or they just
yeah?
haven't had the chips
Well,
because they
well,
like
we know
forgot
that
to do it because they're like they're different.
we know that Echo doesn't have the chip.
Oh yeah.
He doesn't have the chip.
Oh yeah.
And we also know that Rex doesn't have the chip, but he does at the same time because he turned his. I think did Rex's chip malfunction?
No, he got it taken out. Remember?
He got it taken out,
Ahsoka,
but
season 7, he got it taken out.
okay, so he got it taken out, but so because he tried to kill Ahsoka initially, and then she cut it out of him.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, so, like I think he overrided it and then she cut it out of him.
Yes, that was the insane like 2.5 seconds of Rex shaking in season 7 going, find fives, and then he just shoots. Oh man, that is the most intense 2 seconds of Star Wars.
Oh my god.
In my opinion.
Yeah. I watched that the other day. I was just like, oh my god.
Right? So yeah, so Rex has the chip and then it's taken out of him. So I don't, because who would have taken it out? Did Rex
my question is that inhibitor chip put in when they're adults, or is that part of the cloning process?
That's
like
it's put in very early fetal
time. So every single clone would have one regardless if they are the Bad Batch or not.
That's true. Yeah.
So my assumption, just by simple logic, is that they would have it on it. Like,
but because maybe they're genetically a Bad Batch and different,
maybe
it didn't work. It didn't click for them. Like maybe it happened. Order 66. Maybe we'll see this in the show. Order 66 happens around them. They see all these clones, going for Jedis, and they're going, hang on, why do we need to do that?
Yeah.
They don't have the urge. Maybe it just doesn't click for them. But they have the shit,
Well,
maybe. That
yeah,
could
I
be. That's
mean,
one
I
theory.
mean, that could be it. Maybe because like we see them in an Imperial training camp in the
Yeah, that looks
trailer.
cool though. Yeah.
So my question is, are they there to do a mission or are they there because they're part of the Empire now? But the thing is
Well,
that like,
yeah.
because see, my thinking is I think that they're there to infiltrate the Empire and get somebody out.
Mm, okay.
So are we
Yes.
getting Ahsoka out? Are we seeing somebody being rescued? What's going on? Are they coming to go and get Rex? Like,
I think
because we know that Rex obviously gets out and is with the other clones and rebels, right?
Mm.
So, and we see him in the show. Honestly, I think that this show is going to pick up exactly where Clone Wars ended with them.
I agree.
Because that just makes sense.
Right there. Yeah.
It's right then or like shortly after.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah. So I think I don't know how, but yeah, somehow their chip doesn't work. They just did not do Order 66. But I think they are smart enough as a group to realize that if they just suddenly rebel and now what is the Empire, they're gonna just be like gone. They're gonna be killed. So I think they play along with the whole Empire. Oh yeah, we'll become a stormtrooper kind of thing. Moff Tarkin has like we have his attention. I think Moff Tarkin wants the Bad Batch as like I think he says it at the start, kind of like they're a special unit, they're a special batch, but they're a little bit not good at listening to directions. And I think that's going to be the start of the story of Bad Batch are in the Empire, but they're cluey enough to keep going along with it until they go, hang on, Empire is messed up. We're not going to be a part of this. And then they come on that adventure. And I love one of my favorite things of the trailer was we're going to get a Saw Gerrera. Of course, that makes sense. He's a extremist rebel at this point.
Yeah.
Like he's got similar kind of that real explosive, for lack of a better term, no pun intended, explosive kind of character that I think will really work well with the Bad Batch. So the character of Saw Gerrera and Bad Batch, I think is going to be a fantastic mix. And I think Bad Batch going to break out of some sort of Imperial camp training area, and then they're going to start going on into the galaxy, going, who can we trust? Who can we kind of buddy up with?
Yeah,
That's
I mean, the other thing to like mention, this is another obscure thing that a lot of people don't know about. Another thing that we could also be seeing in this show, because this takes place during Order 66 as well, and like this is during Order 66, this whole transition between the Republic turning to the Empire, is Order 99. Oh, do you even know what that is?
No. What's
okay? So
do tell.
I know a lot about Star Wars.
Yeah, you know some niche things, man.
So Order 99 is Dooku's order to the droids to shut down and then change allegiances from the to the Grand Army of the Republic.
Wow. Okay.
So the quote from Wikipedia is, "What is a droid, Dooku?" So this is from Sidious talking to Dooku. He says, "What is a droid, Dooku, but a clone by a different name? Built, not grown, but merely programmed tools. Such tools can be twisted to better suit my purpose. You have your orders, and so will they." And my question is, so we see in Star Wars Rebels that there is a militia on the planet of droids that are against the rebels, but not the Republic. So we know that the Order 99 is something that occurred, because that's what it is, that's what happened. And this band of this one, I don't know what planet it is on, but this band of droids are now loyal to they've switched
Clankers,
allegiances,
if you will.
the clankers have switched allegiances from the separatists to the Grand Army of the Republic, and eventually they were decommissioned shortly after Order 66 happened, once the transition between the clones and then the non-clone troopers, the stormtroopers, which also would be very interesting to see the difference of like what happened to all of the clones. Maybe we'll see a little bit of that. So Order 99 is part so I explain what that is, and then there's like a thing from a comic on Wikipedia. It says, I heard a voice whisper Order 99 over my comm, and my primary systems shut down. And this is basically talking about, if I'm not mistaken, like their directive was to be decommissioned at this point. And there's not a lot of information about this on Wikipedia, so I can't give like a lot of information, but it just says Order 99 was a directive for the separatist droid army during the Clone Wars. It was issued during a battle on the planet Bagoa.
Sounds like Bogano. Bogano? Is that the Fallen Order planet?
Bogoa? I don't know. To the B1 battle droid, Copper Top by Count Dooku on the orders of Darth Sidious, who sought to test the battle droid's ability to change allegiances as a precursor of the Grand Army, ability to change allegiance as a precursor to the Grand Army of the Republic's own Order 66. So basically, Order 99 was something that happened shortly before Order 66, and it was a system test to see what would happen to the droids and as a test to see what would happen to the droids switching from the Separatists to the Republic, and then eventually, obviously the Republic got reorganized into the First Galactic Empire.
Do you think we're gonna see the droids in the Bad Batch though? I don't. Yes. I feel really. Ooh.
Yeah.
In what capacity? To simulate in Rebels,
something like that. I mean, they're still around because when the Bad Batch broke off, they were fighting clankers. They were talking because it was Rex and Ahsoka talking to the Bad Batch, and the Bad Batch went off, and they were just finishing a battle against battle droids. So we know that they're there. So I mean, I don't know if we're necessarily going to see like Order 99 or whatever Lucasfilm through Disney is going to actually call that. But I think that we're going to see something very similar. Let me check the YouTube chat and see what people are saying about this.
Because the decommissioning of the clones is definitely a story that we haven't gotten enough of, and I think that a lot of people are excited for that, of how that kind of transition worked, how that happens, and how that manifests. And I think that's a really good thought, that the same thing happens for the droids. It does, and how the Empire is working at this point, and where all these little subgroups like the Bad Batch are fitting into the storyline. I think, Nick, what do you think? What do you think about seeing some droids, seeing some clankers?
So I'm pretty sure in the trailer too that we saw them like shooting and fighting some of them.
Chad,
there we go.
That they were in the trailer.
Yeah, they were in the trailer.
So maybe they were.
They were in the trailer. Yeah, they were in the trailer.
That's right.
So they're in their show. So
yeah. I think it's interesting that, because I think we're gonna get a lot of hints of like cloning. I feel like go deep into it, because we see that new clone.
Yeah. Because we don't necessarily know when the transition between clones and stormtroopers happened, and I know that Culture Slate just wrote an article, or we're in the process of making a video about this. And it hasn't come across my desk yet. So eventually I will know this information, but it's talking about what happened to the clones after Order 66.
Yeah.
Because how long did the clones serve the Empire before they were eventually replaced? And did the people Kaminoans, thank you. Like, how long was the Kaminoans contract with Sidious? Like, did he go and wipe them out? So that couldn't be happening. Did he go and steal them and then use their technology with cloning to clone himself, and then obviously clone Snoke in episode 7, 8, and 9? And we also see that we know from the Mandalorian that Sidious and the Empire were trying to figure it out. So my question is, are we going to see that also in the Bad Batch? So we're going to see the Empire dissolve the Kamino's involvement with the cloning process. Are we going to see, maybe is that why the Bad Batch is in the Imperial camp? Are they testing their militaristic know-how to see if the Empire can use them for what they want? Yeah, maybe they were trying to clone the Bad Batch. Yeah. Maybe they were trying to test their ability to see if they should continue to use clones after the Order 66, or should they switch over to, eventually we know that they did switch over to the stormtroopers, and then they just took children and raised them up. And then obviously and then that's what happened again when the First Order rise as well. So we know that none of the clones made it to episode 4.
Yeah.
So where do they do they get dissolved? Do they get all killed? What's going to go on? What do you think, Nick? Hannah?
I mean, I think we're on the right track. I think that this will be a couple seasons, no more than 3 to 4, and I think we're going to see that happen within here. And I think that we already are seeing so far. Lucasfilm has been, with the trailers and clips, only showing us the first arc in reality, and maybe snippets from the second. So if we're thinking of it this way, we already see that there's this battle going on. We're seeing them getting pulled from it. Obviously, this seems to be going on during Order 66. And I think that we're going to start to see a flux change in the Empire. And we're going to go back to Kamino and see different testing going on. Because the Bad Batch was done for a reason. And they were, quote unquote, I guess, defected. But they were testing and altering the clones with other DNA, which I think we're going to get more in depth in on this.
Well, I mean, maybe with that's a good point. Maybe what they are doing is they are trying to figure out this is the reason why the Bad Batch happened, is that they were trying to figure out exactly what combination to do so they could create them on maybe even more of a mass scale, so they didn't have to go with the stormtroopers. And maybe the reason why they eventually decommissioned the clones and then they went with stormtroopers is because it's easier to program people that it's easier to program actual humans that are real, that aren't just cloned, to be obedient. Because, obviously Rex's inhibitor chip malfunctioned, and then eventually got cut out by Ahsoka.
I think it's more of the will and the different. I think it shows the differences in the ability of each of these clones and how each of them shows some kind of independence. Resistance. And that was the whole thing. They all had some kind of independence and signature to themselves to make them unique, regardless of the fact that they look the same. Some of them, obviously, a good chunk of the army couldn't bypass that or figure out a way. I have a feeling that there are some clones that either A, was defected, or B, they had a strong will to break free from it, or enough to be able to get it removed or understand. But I think we're definitely going to get more information on that from other clones, which will be nice.
Like
absolutely. We're definitely gonna know a lot more after this. But like I really think, like, especially with like the thing that I just really want to know is I really just want to see this transition between like I want to see this transition between clones and stormtroopers, because like it's gonna be and I think this is the perfect time to do it. I think this is the perfect show to do it. Is that basically, and this is obviously my assumption with Tarkin's involvement in this show, is that, well, he's there for a reason. So he's probably testing the clones and this, and the Bad Batch specifically, to see if they are fit enough to be part of the Empire. And I think maybe in this process, we're going to see that the amount of people, like the amount of clones that defected that weren't down for doing this, like they initially killed all the Jedi and executed Order 66 effectively, but as time went on, there was a lot of failures, and there was that, and then that's where the transition between clones and clone trooper and stormtroopers happened.
Absolutely. And I think that's it's going to be a big thread throughout the whole show that I think I'm very interested to see how they answer that. In terms of character cameos that we're going to see, I just love the fact that we're going to see more Fennec Shand in this. I loved her in Mando. She looked so badass. She was that episode she did with Boba in Mando was just so good.
It was so good.
It's so good, right? It was just such a good episode. So the fact that we're going to see her,
does that mean that we're going to all like I would imagine that we're not going to see like a young Boba Fett in that. Here's the thing.
Think so. I don't think so, but
I don't think so, because the first time that they meet is in Mando.
Yeah.
So that wouldn't make sense.
Yeah, it would make sense if they're together, but would I want to see a Boba in Bad Batch? Absolutely. I don't think we will, though. But Fennec Shand, I'm super interested to see her story of what she's doing, because she's a
I want to know. I want to know more about her. I just want to know more about her. And I think just like the her inclusion in the Bad Batch is obviously to give her more story. To like a lot of the things that we see that happen in Bad Batch are going to play out in the Book of Boba Fett. Like that's why she's in the show. I think that might be the sole reason why she's in the show, is because they didn't give her a lot of backstory in The Mandalorian. And I think that the reason why they wanted to put her in the Bad Batch is specifically because if they put her in the Bad Batch, that means that they can give her a lot more backstory without like taking up a lot of time and space in the Book of Boba Fett. It encourages people to go and actually watch the Bad Batch and sign up for Disney Plus to go and see it. And if people like go and watch the Book of Boba Fett and something is referenced from either like there's a reference to something that happens in Bad Batch, or there's a reference that happens in The Mandalorian, then people are going to be more opted into wanting to watch The Mandalorian, and then obviously the Bad Batch, which on like just a business scale that sells more toys and memorabilia, and people get more into Star Wars, and then people might go and read the books or the comics or anything else. And it's just like I think a little bit of it is like a marketing move to have somebody from one thing going to the other. But this is also one of the very first times. I mean, obviously I know like the Clone Wars specifically, but this is the first time in Disney era that we have had a live action character that was introduced in a live action make their way to an animated screen as well.
Yeah, and I think that is such a cool concept. And I think you're right in saying that it's it's giving her more a kind of context and backstory to make her make more sense than Boba. I totally agree. But and I think we're going to get a great character here, and in the whole thought of strong female characters and the strong female lead, we did have a Mando, and the story behind that actor not being with us anymore, that was such a disappointment and such a letdown. So I think to have this another strong female character, kicking ass, this is life after the Clone Wars, like she's bounty hunting, but I don't know what it is, but she's going to have a fantastic story, and I really hope that she does become a really interesting part of Bad Batch, of Boba, and still be in Mando, because she's a fantastic character just from the bits of what we've seen with her. And she's so, like, if we think of that episode she was in season 1 of Mando, and what's that pretty boy's name on Tatooine that Mando like hates? What's his name? I don't like him at all. But anyway, but she just like shuts him down. She shuts Mando
Does
down.
anybody in the chat actually know his name? Could somebody in the chat on YouTube or Facebook
he was really
hop in
cocky and it was really annoying.
Yeah, what was his name?
Yeah.
Somebody tell me, please let me know.
His name was Cocky Boy. Cocky
Boy 101.
Han Solo wannabe, but with a really bad attitude.
Yes, right? So, and she just had time for none of it, and she was just like, "Nah, stuff yours." Like, and she like outsmarted them both. Like, like just her introduction to her character, what I think was amazing, was so good. So I'm ready.
Which, by the way, he is one of the that character is probably one of my favorite like throwaway characters.
Right. I'm so glad stupid.
Yeah, I like he's like there specifically just to, like he's just there to move the story along. I understand that, but he's like still one of my favorite characters from like Mandalorian, because he's there and that's it. You see him once and that's it. And like it's just like having Timothy Oliphant. That's his name. Timothy Oliphant in one episode. Obviously, he is the main character from Justified on FX. So like, and I think it's very fitting to have somebody like that has played a cowboy like sheriff character in a show be that type. What is his title in Mando? He is what is
like in the town?
In the town.
It's not sheriff.
He's
it's the marshal. The marshal.
Yeah, I think. So like he is the marshal, and I think that like that was perfectly typecast of like having somebody like that be that, and I think like he's one of my favorite characters in season 2. Like he might actually be my favorite season 2 character. That's not like that was like a new character, because obviously like I really like I love Bo-Katan, I love Ahsoka. I love, obviously you only see Luke for 30 seconds, but that was the highlight of the entire thing. And like, I think that, going back into like, cameos that we want to see in the Bad Batch. I mean, like I would ideally like to see Ahsoka. I think that we might see flashbacks to her. I think that we will also probably see Darth Vader at some point in this show.
At some point,
At some point, that just makes sense, because like if Tarkin's there and whatever, and that's like a huge thing. I don't know if we're necessarily going to see I don't think we're going to see Palpatine, but I mean, let us know what who you guys want to see in the comments, and then we'll talk to you guys in the YouTube comments. So like, who do you want to see, Hannah?
Who do I want? I want to see Ahsoka, purely because I would see her in anything. But now that it just makes sense that we see Saw, I want to see Bad Batch. They're not going to join the rebels. I don't think that will happen. No. But I want to see Bad Batch kind of interact with even like
the beginning of the rebellion.
Almost like have a run in with Bale, and they have like a deep conversation about like the galaxy and what's wrong with it, and then they like separate ways. I want that kind of interaction, because I think the Bad Batch by surface is this kick-ass group of guys that just own and cut it up and look super cool. But I think they're gonna go on this kind of deep journey them as a group, but also as individuals, learning about the galaxy. They understand themselves. Hey, the Empire is actually not doing the greatest to people and to communities and planets, but what are we going to do about it? I think that's going to be kind of the deeper question about the show. So it's going to have that kick-ass look, but as a group, it also
let's actually Nikk, do you have something? I want to expand on like what this show is actually about and what the meaning is, but Nikk, do you have something to say?
No, I think let's start diving into the actual show and the meaning. I think that'll be good.
I
think that'd be good.
Because I think because Clone Wars did that. If we think of what, and not that people are calling this Clone Wars sequel, or the it's Clone Wars season 8. I think someone said that in the chat before, but it's gonna have that similar style of Clone Wars of it's a kids show. It's for like teens or but really it isn't. But and it's gonna have that cool visual look that is going to be this fun adventure story that's going to drive it along. That's going to make it watchable and make people enjoy it. But it's going to have these themes that are talking about having more awareness of people around you, having to become less self-centered, and not that I think the Bad Batch are fundamentally bad or bad people. I think they're very independent, and they're going to start becoming aware of the worlds and the galaxy around them, and they're to become more considerate of the negativity and the bad things that are happening in the galaxy.
So Claire, Chad asks, I want to see Cody and Rex fighting.
Oh
yes.
Yes. We had a Bad Batch chat at like the second episode of the Star Wars Culture Show, and that was a theory that I absolutely loved. What if Cody is like a main antagonist in this show? If Cody is just like really annoying, he's like deep in Empire ranks, and he comes.
He's got to be.
Yeah.
I mean that it wouldn't make much sense if he wasn't. I mean, like that would make a lot of sense if he was.
I mean, it's kind of ties into like I think Cody will be the clone that we follow that stays with the Empire through. And we'll see Cody and Obi-Wan as well. I hope. I'm gonna put that down. But I think we'll see Cody at some point confront Obi-Wan or be a part of that.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean,
we'll probably see them fight here too, but not.
Yeah. I mean, we could also. I mean, we could see Commander Cody lead, lead. Going back to the Kenobi show, I mean, we could even see Cody in that as well, which would be really interesting to see Morrison in that role as well. I mean, that would be really interesting to like de-age him, hopefully better than they did. I'm going to complain about this really quick. Again, I think that they should have just done Sebastian Stan for Luke Skywalker, and I know why they didn't, and it's because they don't. The reason why they didn't is because they don't want to, if they are going to do a Luke Skywalker live action show, they are going to want Sebastian Stan. And if they choose Sebastian Stan for that, they're going to want that to be a surprise for when they cast him, not having him be a cameo and then something happened to him and then them not be able to do it. That's the reason why they did the deep fake. That's the only rational reason why, is because they either don't want to announce it or they don't want to make a final decision until that comes around, because a Luke Skywalker show is 2030 at this point, probably 2027.
And I don't even think that just because we saw the CGI version, it's enough to sell it to a point where that's it. We're sold. Because I mean, there's been a lot of inconsistencies in Star Wars before, and there still kind of is, and I don't think it matters, if it helps the story and the story works and the actor works for the role. I don't think there's a problem, and enjoy it. And if you don't like it, then it's not for you, and not everything's for everyone.
Yeah, I agree.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, and so extremely low budget production says Saw Gerrera would be an excellent plugin, and I agree. I mean, we saw in
We
We
saw
saw. We saw him.
Now.
Yeah. Saw. So we saw Gerrera in Rebels, and he is a radical. He's insane. I want to know why.
Yeah, I like that we're getting pieces. I think his story, since it's not a lot, but yet it's another character that's been kind of flushed out, but I feel like it's enough to kind of see. I think we're going to see a good chunk of his story and kind of get more of an understanding where he is in Rogue One and in Rebels.
Yeah.
And see why he's so much. I mean, we always knew that he was extreme, but like.
Yeah.
Because there was that fantastic. Now, this is one of my biggest gripes with Star Wars Clone Wars. Onderon. Why do you have to name another planet so close to Alderaan? There's Alderaan, then there's Onderon. What? That's so annoying. But he had that fantastic arc on Onderon where, what is his sister's name? Oh my goodness, it is completely blanking on me. But he has that whole arc where they revolt against the droids coming to their planet, and then his sister dies, and Ahsoka's there. And there's that whole story. Stella, thank you so much. Oh, also, Stella and Lux, I don't ship that. I ship Ahsoka and Lux. Come on.
Yeah.
But he has that great story.
Yeah.
Well, it's a great story, but it's because it's interesting, and you can see that's where he gets a lot of anguish from. He sees his sisters die.
Exactly.
And that I think that starts that manifestation.
Is that it? That's in the Clone Wars, right?
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's like season 4. I want to say.
I think it's close to the end of 4 or
I have not seen the Clone Wars in about 10 years.
It's
so
season 4 or 5.
I'm currently on season 1. So I finished Rebels a few weeks ago for the very first time and flipped biscuits at the last couple episodes. It was insane. And then now I'm watching the Clone Wars. So over the next coming months, y'all are gonna hear me like freak out about things that I either forgot about or never actually saw, because I didn't watch it when I was a kid. Like I didn't watch all of it when I was a kid.
So much in Clone Wars.
So much. I mean, like it's 7 seasons now. We're getting like essentially an 8th season of the Clone Wars. I mean, it's the same animation. It's gonna look exactly the same.
Yeah.
Which I mean, I think this is probably the perfect show. I think this is probably the perfect show for them to start their phase 3 or 4 or whatever phase Star Wars is on.